All right. Hi, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar today on the Gulfood Trade Show. We are excited to have two great speakers with us today. First, we are going to hear from Manjusha Matthew. She is with Focus M, and they are our consultants that cover the Middle East. They joined SUSTA last year and have been managing our events targeting the Middle East. And so we're excited to hear from Manjusha about the 2027 Gulf Food Show. And following her presentation, we have a SUSTA participant, John Shahade, whose company has been exhibiting at the Gulf Food Trade Show since the very first Gulf Food Show. So he has a long history and his family has a history there. But we really wanted to invite him to talk about not the long history so much, but what keeps them coming back? Why is this such a good show for US companies? And so, yeah, we will hear from John following Manjusha. My name is Danielle Coco. I'm the marketing director at SUSTA. We have our Gulf Food booths are open on our website. So if you're interested, you can navigate there. We'll send you the link later today if you would like to register to exhibit with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Manjusha and let her take it from here.
Okay. Hi. Thank you very much, Daniel, and thank you very much, John, also to be here today. I hope you all can see the screen well, and I'm just going to hide one of the panels for me to make it easier. Okay, done. Okay, so this is an easy presentation, and as we start the presentation, I'm sure you'll all have a lot of questions specifically about the current situations, and that also I will address in the presentation, as well as if you have any questions beyond that, please do feel free to ask me at the end of the presentation or during. I'm okay with that, but end of the presentation would be better. Having said that, we are here to primarily discuss why should Gulf food be a major part of your export strategy. As the word export suggests, of course, Gulf food will bring you to the Middle East, to the entire Middle East, although Gulf food claims that you will actually be taking your products globally beyond your own countries. Okay, so let's see how that is going to happen. So we'll first talk about Gulf food a bit, then we'll also be talking about which are the countries in the Middle East that you could be targeting, and then we'll also talk about the geopolitical situation. So some of you have participated last year, and last year the exhibition was in the month of February, the trade show. This year it's going to be in the month of March. Every year the dates are adjusted to accommodate the fasting month of Ramadan, so that during the month of Ramadan it's usually avoidable to have food shows, right, during the holy month of Ramadan. So this time it's going to be from 15th to the 19th March 2027. Okay, now as you all know that there are two mega venues. I mean, once upon a time, that means until a year ago, there was only one venue, which is venue number 1, which is at the Trade Center in the heart of the city, and that was Trade Center, World Trade Center, which is here called as Dubai World Trade Center. Now the second venue, since last year, last year as in 2026, it has been the Expo City venue. You know that both the venues are a bit far apart from each other. However, connection wise, we have enough of connectivity between the two in terms of free shuttle buses as well as the train, etc. Now, the venues are not chosen by any one of us. It has always been categorized by the Gulf food organizers, not Oak Overseas in US, but by the Gulf food hosts. Okay, so they've organized it in a certain way, and given that we have SUSTA profile of products, almost all of us will be in World Food here in venue 2, which is the SUSTA Pavilion in hall number 2, which is at Dubai Exhibition Center in Expo City. Sorry, I don't know why. I'm okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so That is what it is. And once again, what are we saying? Why are we now in an expanded location? We are here because every single product in the F&B sector is 100% covered. So whether you have ingredients, commodities, branded products, spices, beverages, or products only for food service or products only for manufacturing, each one of these products is covered across the two venues, and that is the purpose of the expansion. So you all have to look at your products now in terms of what is the end use that the product serves. Is it for the retailer? Is it for the retail consumer? Is it for the retailer as in the shops, or is it for the food service sector, or is it for the manufacturing sector as an ingredient? And all of that is covered. So here is what I have taken directly from the website. So of course you can also access this directly from the website and see what it is. Now, excuse me, sorry. The presentation is going to focus on the exports to the Middle East, because we want us to look at your export strategy to the Middle East in a slightly different way, because the current situation demands that way. So the export to the Middle East consists of opportunities and the current constraints, and the opportunities that again arise because of the current constraints. So see what those opportunities and constraints are. For that, first you have to understand, okay, why should you come to Dubai or to the UAE, the United Arab Emirates? Because United Arab Emirates is the gateway to the Gulf Cooperation Council of Countries, which is the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Countries, or Gulf Cooperation Council, or the 6 countries in the Gulf Cooperation Council. So what are those 6 countries and what does it give you? So basically you all know GCC comprises of 6 countries, Saudi and UAE, which you are all very familiar with. Then there is Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar. Right? Each one of these countries has its own uniqueness, but most of the countries are smaller, much smaller, and hence it does not command a direct shipment to Bahrain, Kuwait, and Oman and Qatar. Maybe to Oman, but not so much to Qatar and Kuwait and Bahrain. But surely for Saudi Arabia and the UAE, you can look at direct exports into these 2 countries. Now, what is so unique about these countries? These are very famous as Arab countries or the Middle Eastern countries, because these are the countries which control nearly 40% of the world's oil reserves, and that makes it one of the most economically influential regions, or the rich regions globally, right? Now, the flip side of that is that with the oil and the type of land which is arid, as well as the climate, it makes us very much 90% food imports driven countries, because we can hardly grow anything over here except the dates and hydroponics, vegetables with water. So there is a flip side of this, which is a great rich region makes it much more viable for exporters from US to sell their products into the region, because we are not able to grow anything here. Having said that, the GDP growth is strong, okay, plus the fact that these are also the countries which have relatively smaller population, and hence they're always growing, and you always have this upcoming middle-aged group and a small young kids who are always getting brought up with the products that they consume from the supermarkets and from the food service. So this said, we have to see how does it offer any opportunity for us. Here is the map of the 6 countries. As you can see, Saudi Arabia is the largest by landmass. In the top right corner you will see Kuwait. Then you have the small one, which is Bahrain, which is just like a few dots together. Then we have Qatar, the largest reserve of gas and hence the richest country on per capita basis. Then we have United Arab Emirates, and we have Oman, right? And on the other side of that we have Iran. Up there we have Iraq and Jordan, but these are not the GCC countries. We are only looking at the 6 countries which are marked in green. Together the population of these 6 countries is only 60 million as of date. Okay, now you can understand that this is just about 20% of the total US population, or even just 15% of the US population. But this is a population that's a captive population. These are the consumers of products which are not grown here or available here. Importantly, if you look at the region like this, you will see that all the countries here thrive on re-exports. So primarily what gets the re-export destination is the United Arab Emirates, which is where Gulfood will be hosted in the commercial city of Dubai. And for your information, the capital city of the UAE is Abu Dhabi. So we are looking at a key role that United Arab Emirates will play, even with a smaller population of 11 to 12 million as a population. Now these are the numbers which were there, let's say about a year ago. These numbers might be slightly different by about half a million in terms of resident population, or even maybe 300,000 less because of the current situation. But in the overall scheme of things, it does not make any difference. Having said that, let's see overall what has been the opportunity for US processed products and their exports into the region. Okay, and this slide to me, and the next one more slide, is very important because it tells you very clearly who your competition is. So in 2023, okay, the US processed food exports to the region declined by 13%, and that 13% decline was translated into a net export of 1.2 billion only. Now 1.2 billion is not enough for us to consume the products. I keep saying yes, I mean us, because I'm based here in Dubai right now. Okay, now interestingly, while from all those 6 countries, 5 countries certainly showed a significant decline, including Saudi Arabia, but the UAE grew by 7%. Okay, now the flip side of the story is that we are not the net consumers, we are consumers as well as re-exporters. So some things which the other countries did not import, we re-exported it from the UAE. Okay, so that is the capacity and the significance of the UAE as a country. Having said that, in 2024 it grew marginally to US dollars 1.3 billion. Fine. Now the typical products that it included is each one of these categories which all of you have to offer in some form or the other. So we're talking about food preparations, ingredients, dairy, snack foods, meat, fats and oils, chocolate and confectionery, non-alcoholic beverages. So when I look at these categories, these are not only the categories of the ready-to-eat foods, but they could be ready-to-eat, or they could also be serving as ingredients to the manufacturing industry, or mixers to the HoReCa industry, right? So these are the opportunities across the GCC. Now, why did I say that it was only 1.2 billion or 1.3 billion, and it will tell us our competition? We looked at 1.2 and 1.3 billion as exports from the US to the UAE. US to the GCC. But when you look at the entire market importing a total food worth of 43 billion, then we know that our competition is from the other regions. It's not from within the US, but we have to compete favorably with other regions such as Europe and Southeast Asia or Asia itself in terms of exporting food to the GCC countries. It not only tells you who the competitors are as the region and the country goes, but it also tells you how much more upside that you have to export the products, and hence the reason for us to be there assertively and promoting our products very strongly in trade shows like Gulfood. And when you look at the categories, once again, nuts, dry fruits and dates, even though we are supposed to be growing dates, we do grow dates, but they are small enough for us for internal consumption, and hence we import a lot of dates as well from US, especially from California. Breakfast cereals are certainly something that if you go to a supermarket, you will see a large shelf. So, all of these things are always needed. Plus, what is not mentioned here is also the commodities like the wheat, soya, the rice, all of that is imported. It gets imported from different parts of the world depending on what is that product used for. For example, we have jasmine rice too, we have Indian basmati rice, example. So all of these products are imported and you have so much of an upside. Currently, we are doing maybe not even, let's say, not even 10%, not even 5% of the total import into the GCC. So that's the upside that you have. So each one of us has to look at our own business and say, how can I export more, okay, across all the 6 countries? So that's a question that we have to answer. Now, why are these countries importing so much? Not only for internal consumption, but also for re-export. Why is re-export important here? Because one, that is a trade. All these countries are trade driven. Besides the oil income that we saw, the countries are also trading countries. Especially the UAE is a trading country. So what happens is, long ago, as in 2003, around 23 years ago, they created a treaty which is called, special trade and investment privileges to all the 6 countries, the member countries. So what they said was that they have created a treaty wherein across the GCC, okay, if you export any one of your products, suppose if you export your product to Saudi Arabia, then you will only pay the CIF, cost, insurance and freight, import duty of 5% only once. You will not pay it again in the UAE or Bahrain or Qatar or wherever. Okay, now there are caveats to that. It's not as simple as that. If the container comes to Saudi Arabia in Jeddah, and from there, if it is reshipped to the UAE without opening it, okay, then you don't pay the duty again. But if you open the container, okay, and some part is given to Saudi and some part then has to come to the UAE, then it again will attract another 5% duty. Okay. Now this particular point is very vital in the current situation. So we'll come to that towards the end of the presentation as to why this point is vital. Okay. Now, a lot of countries have also started adding value-added tax. Now VAT in all the countries like, the new countries like us is only 5%, and it was introduced in 2018. Now, country like UAE, we were not used to paying any taxes for either personal income tax or corporate tax or VAT. So that year really took a hit. At least the first 6 months really took a hit about, adjusting VAT calculation in the overall economics of the things. But since then we have got used to it and we are managing VAT very well. And given the fact that, countries like Saudi Arabia charge a VAT of 15%, I think so does Oman charge 15%, or 5% seems like a cool breeze and due for the country. Now, in the light of all of this, okay, now we said the total export from the US was in the range of 1.2 to 1.3 billion dollars, but out of this, processed foods were half a billion dollars, or $510 million, right? Now, all these numbers come from either Euromonitor or from Fast Post in Dubai, and they have said that at least 80% of the UAE's agricultural products are imported. And once again, they confirm that the market is highly competitive because we are receiving products from different parts of the world, depending on where that world is, where that country is, and how easy it is for that country to ship it across, and the cost of production, the prices vary. Okay, so the people like us, the consumers, we always have a choice to buy cheaper product. But then we also have to consider the US quality, and hence that is where you have an edge. So we have to see how we can get people to pay premium for US quality. And people understand that they have to pay premium for US quality, for better quality, and they fully understand the difference and the differentiation between good quality products and the regular quality products. And you have consumers for both these in all these 6 countries. Now, the UAE is a major regional trade hub for the Middle East. In Middle East as well as North Africa. That means we are looking at Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, in that corner of the world. Okay, because of its favorable geographic location and modern infrastructure. I mean, recently for one of our clients, we had imported a shipment on sea freight for samples of frozen food products, and it got cleared in 2 hours. So when I thanked Dubai municipality to say, thank you so much, you cleared it in 2 hours. The inspector told me, Manjusha, but our target is to clear it in 20 minutes. I said, 2 hours is glory for us. 20 minutes is really a stretch target for you, and maybe our documents were not really possibly properly arranged for you to take so much time or whatever. But that's how competitive the country is, and that's how all the systems have been organized to make sure that the products get cleared if everything is up to the mark, starting from the quality and compliance requirements, right? Now, all in all, I have seen in my 25 years in here, if there is any regional unrest, we as a country, we thrive, because this has been a safe haven for many other countries and their population, right? So they've always found it easier to send goods to the UAE and from here get distributed internally either by road or by ship to those neighboring countries up to even North Africa, right? So all in all, as you can see, the UAE grew in not only in US imports but in general, UAE business has been growing in spite of all the other situation which has been happening around, right? Focusing on US, of course, it has been growing, but marginally. Okay, 2 to 7% is a small growth because we know the upside. We know the upside of total of $43 billion, even though we don't want all of that business and it's not possible. It is certainly likely that we can actually look at doubling the volume as US exports to the GCC countries in some time, 3 to 5 years maybe, I don't know. Now this is again the list that we had seen before. Now I want to highlight one thing, which is, even though we say alcoholic beverages and non-alcoholic beverages, right? Alcoholic beverages, everyone cannot import alcoholic beverages. This is quite a controlled category, controlled in the sense that only few importers, including Dubai Duty Free and Emirates and 2 other importers, are allowed to import it, and any alcoholic beverage has to go through them alone. Okay, so if one of you is like, let's say, an alcoholic beverage producer and say, we want 10 meetings, no, it's not going to happen. There are not so many distributors who are allowed to import it in the first place. That's one. 2 is non-alcoholic beverages. This is something that we have tried it ourselves because we also have a trading company, okay, to get some of the non-alcoholic beverages approved from Dubai municipality. Okay, now the point is, a non-alcoholic beverages definition here is absolutely no tolerance for any kind of fermentation. Okay, so we cannot say 0.1%, 0.01%. No, there is no tolerance because it's religious, right? So your competition is from Australia called Larry's, and these things have to be taken into consideration because we went too far with one of the companies to get the approvals done, and when it came to product testing, the company said no, but they will certainly fine 2%. Okay, and I said that's not acceptable because they will think that we are promoting alcoholic beverages under non-alcoholic. Now I know it may not be relevant, but I just thought of sharing my experience with that. So to summarize, what are the market opportunities? As you know, it's a wealthy consumer market, but I want to tell you one thing, which is, overall our per capita income could be high, but so is our cost of living. So it's not as if people spend money without thinking about it. They're always seeking value, and not only they're seeking value, they're also seeking variety because they have that. Because we import products from Southeast Asia to South America, right? So they have variety, and they know sometimes for certain variety which is not available in the market in a large scale, they have to pay a premium, and they have to pay a premium for quality as well, right? Besides that, we touched upon, of course, import regulations are transparent and non-complex, which is a fact. You have a list of documents which is not at all something unique. You have those 5 or 6 documents starting from health certificate to commercial invoice. You have it in order, all numbers matching, because we come across a situation wherein on one document the weight is in pounds, in another document the weight is in kilograms, and then things don't match to the last decimal, then it gets confusing. So key thing is to get the documents in order, in which I think is much of a clerical issue than anything else, to make sure everything is extremely matching, and then your product gets cleared, and health certificate is of course very important, right? So having said that, UAE is the country wherein modern retail, that means all the hypermarkets, command 80% of the business or even more. We do not have the incidence of the grocery stores or the bakalas. We have maybe small convenience stores and small, if we have a skyscraper building, which we do have many, and in the building when there is a small shop on the ground floor to go and pick up your daily requirements, then those come into the balance 20%. Okay, and most of the wholesalers are primarily for re-exporting. So the trade structure is very clear. If you want to sell anything to the retail group, you'll be selling it directly to the retailers via distributor. Okay, and the distributor can also take it to the smaller grocery stores. Other than that, distributor will also take it to HoReCa segment, and wholesalers who buy it from you on container load basis, they'll be re-exporting the product. So there are two different things: distributor for local distribution, wholesalers for re-exports. Now, some of the things that sitting in the US you can easily find challenging are labeling. Okay, now labeling is not difficult. There are certain primary requirements for labeling which can be done, which needs to be done in Arabic, and we can always help you with that in connecting you with the right labeling company who will do the right translation. Okay, then restrictive shelf life requirements, yes, it does matter. Typically, a food product has only 12 months of shelf life permissible. Now, when that happens, okay, coming from US, maybe the shipment will take about 3 to 5 weeks to arrive itself, another 1 week for clearance and getting everything set for distribution. So you're losing 6 weeks here, or 1.5 months. Then what happens is, as per Dubai municipality rule, when the product is on the shelf with only 6 months shelf life left, okay, then you have to slowly start promoting the product. Okay, and after about towards the end of last 1 month, you really have to give it for a very low cost or low price, right? So all of that has to be managed, and it gets managed by the distributor in consultation with you and in collaboration with promotions that you and he can organize, right? So this is a bit of an issue, but this is the case across all the 6 countries. So the good part is that while this is a challenge, once you have everything approved in the UAE or in Saudi, typically all the other countries accept it, right? So that's one of the things. Then long shipping time and high freight costs we discussed, and these will always be compared with Indian, European and Arab and Iranian agricultural products with cheaper prices. We are not going to consider Iranian agricultural products anymore, okay, because we do not know if they have anything to offer at all right now, and plus there are certain restrictions on dealing with Iranian agricultural products. So this is a presentation which I have made in general, always hoping that the situation will get better today in the night, but just want to give you that perspective. Now, some of the things, why is it that we all love US product? Because of the quality, and that quality has been established by no one else but by the leading brands that have come from US, be it Coke or Pepsi, or be it Kraft, or be it chocolates. So the key thing is that, be it baby foods. So the key thing is that, okay, it's important to establish a brand among your target consumers. Let them bring, let's say, a certain brand of products than to just say we import let's say nuts from US. Let them say we import nuts from XYZ. Okay, so that XYZ then becomes like top of mind brand for them, and for which they're willing to pay a premium because they understand the quality difference versus even other products from the US. So this is in general. So as I said, we have 80 to 90% of our food is coming from abroad. So naturally we have all products, we have all variety, and we are spoiled for choice, and hence for you as an exporter you would think that this is a saturated market and hence highly competitive. Now this is regarding the sector highlights. I'll leave you with 1 second on the slide. So we are here only looking at the retail sales, right? Which is retail sales in 2024 was expected to be $7.6 billion, okay, of which 1 billion was the e-commerce in 2023, which it exceeded 1 billion, and based on this they thought that it is supposed to reach, okay, the UAE retail packaged food market will exceed by $2.3 billion in certain number of time or certain number of years. Now these were all the projections done before the current geopolitical issues started. In all probability it will only get higher, and I'll tell you why. Okay, now having said that, what are the 10 top supermarkets? So we are always in a dilemma when we have an outbound trade mission here, when we have to organize meetings for all of you with the top retailers, and we are always driven by the number of meetings, but here is the quality of all those 10 supermarkets, and they are if you can sell your product to all the 10 with your distributor, your business is taken care of in terms of your export numbers for the Middle East, right? And I'm sure all of you must have visited these some point of time or the other. If not, we can organize a visit this time, provided of course Sandra and Daniel just before Gulfood, we can organize a day's visit to these supermarkets for you to see when we say what is available and why are we spoiled for choice. Now we saw the product categories. We are all very much into what is the latest in the food trends. Free from foods, free from gluten, free from additives, free from chemicals and so on. That's one. The trending sector, it's niche, and yet people are going for it, especially the young generation. At the same time, we go for the hardcore strong foods like cheeses, dairy and nuts, besides the meat, of course. Okay, now we saw 2 slides ago we saw the retail sector. Now see how much bigger is the food service sector. Nearly 4 times. It's now $9.5 billion is the value of the food sector purchases. Now this number is even more significant because food service sector is extremely price sensitive. When it is price sensitive and when they buy or consume food worth 9.5 billion, it also means that on volume basis they must be importing much more. This includes the hotels, restaurants and catering companies such as Emirates Flight Catering as well, right? So that's what it is. Now all these is getting consumed in about 11,000 outlets, plus the catering companies who are either producing the products for themselves or for the other HoReCa industry. So when you have any product, okay, please see internally and see if you can make the same product for food service sector. Yeah, because that is where you will get volume. Retail is where you will get value. So you will be able to balance the portfolio between volume and high value for the same product. So this is something that you need to consider, because export strategy is something that we can develop in addition to the locations itself, the region itself. So this is the region, these are the region's requirements. So how do you make your product much more wanted in the region by targeting the right sectors who will actually consume that product? We just touched upon this. It explains the slide that we saw earlier. And all this time, why has the food service sector has been the biggest sector? Because we have sold the country of the UAE on tourist destinations, be it Abu Dhabi or be it Dubai. That's point number one. If you look at the tourism in Saudi, it's much more different. It's that tourism is all about the religion tourism. So uh, the kind of people who go there and food that they consume is different from the leisure tourism that we have over here. So this again some numbers that you can review it. I have created certain slides for you, which I can also share it in Excel to say if you are selling a product in retail starting at 500 grams with 10 packs per carton, and the price of the carton is 10.79, okay, then as landed cost insurance freight in Jebel Ali, then by the time it reaches, what are the different percentages that you have to pay, and finally what will it land up at, so the cost to the retailer then would be around $20.37, right? So that's how it has been calculated. I can always share this with you so that you can put in your own numbers and see what happens. Likewise, now I'm just going to give you a brief update about Saudi Arabia. Now let me just see, there are some 3 messages. I hope I'm not going too slow or too fast. So let me just see. Okay, upper right corner, she can adjust it. Okay, can really see you all. Again, has a plant protein sector grown at all there? Yes. Okay, fine. I'll be answering the questions. Yeah. Sorry, where is the presentation? So we're talking about the next country, which is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We are not going to cover all the 6 countries because in the beginning we said Saudi and UAE are the 2 key markets, right? Now, Saudi Arabia, as you recall, it's around, the population is about 33 million people, as against UAE's population being 11 million people. So we're talking about 3 times the size of UAE as Saudi as a country. Now, but the demographic profile of these people is very different. They are very traditionally Arab people, and because there is so much of a population, the per capita income or spending power is much less than that in the UAE. Okay, because we are only 11 million people. Likewise, Qatar would have the maximum because there are only about 3 million people. As far as the economy is concerned, it's the largest economy in the Middle East and North Africa, and it's again 40% of this income comes from the oil production. Okay, now we saw in the UAE, we were importing $510 million worth of US products, whereas in Saudi, even for a bigger nation in size and number of people, they were importing 470 million. Okay, so the point is that this is a bit conservative country in terms of spending, and because they have large families and traditional methods of eating food, etc. So we have to always understand how 2 countries, even though they are from the same region, can differ in their food requirements. Now, we know that there is still an upside even in Saudi. So the key thing is to understand what is it that will sell more in Saudi versus today. And as you saw over a period of time, okay, they have US exports to Saudi has decreased by 15% over a year. From 23 to 24 it has decreased, right? And some of the reasons for that is that sometimes we find it difficult to make our products halal compliant. Okay, there is a process involved and none of us can get around that process. We have to go through it methodically to make it happen, okay, to open the doors. Another thing is that today, whenever I travel to Saudi, I see Saudi at at the same place as where UAE was 15 to 18 years ago. So, can you imagine if you're a part of the Saudi story today, how much bigger you can get in 15 to 18 years? So, let's not ignore that opportunity, but let's see how we can customize to that opportunity in terms of making our product accessible to the target sector there. As far as the country of Saudi Arabia is concerned, the culturally it remains the same. Uh, However, the way the new crown prince has brought about changes and modernization, you will see ladies driving on the road with their latest cars alone. Unlike before, either their husband or driver could drive them around. There is no restriction on the type of clothes that you wear as long as you are covering yourself adequately. I am talking about ladies. I mean, when I went there in that black dress, and my associate told me, "Oh, people are looking at you," and I said, "Why? What's wrong?" So he said, "Because you're still wearing this abaya, you should be wearing, clothes from Zara, etc." I said, "Okay, next time maybe," that kind of a thing. So things have changed. You can go and sit in the same restaurant. You can share the same table with your friends, colleagues, and so on of different genders, and there is no problem. So with this modernization, the taste and exposure to the outside world is also changing, and with that, we should be there to available on the shelves so that people can grow with our brand, and then whatever is your product, then that becomes a benchmark for people who stay in Saudi. Similar product categories, because we are talking to all Arab clients. Non-alcoholic beverages sell a lot, but again, 0% literally is the key. I mean, when we were in Marriott also, at the entrance they had Larry's promoting the football cup, at that time the Arab Cup, and so on. So while Saudi has more of local population, which is a local Saudi population, they also have 12 million expats, and these expats are different from what you have in the UAE. In UAE, we have more Western expats. In Saudi, you would find more Eastern, as in coming from Egypt and Syria and those countries, as more Arab expats, right? So the ethnic food related to Arab people is certainly on the high there. Okay, the price competitiveness is like before, okay, which is about products will always be compared with other developed countries and their exports, which is Europe, Brazil, Turkey, New Zealand, and Turkey is very close to Saudi, and there's a lot of trade that happens, but it is also a lot of that is also non-food trade, right? So we still have an opportunity. I mean, we certainly have an opportunity in both the countries for sure, and for re-exports. Another thing is that it's best to get our products approved in the beginning at Saudi Food and Drug Authority. Okay, get your company listed with them, get the product approved with them. So when you have meetings during Gulfood, it's very easy for you to show that off and say, we are already approved at SFDA, we are already approved in Dubai Municipality, so we are ready, we are export ready. Okay, because that saves so much of time for you and for the importer. And because during the time, so many things can change. As you can see, on 28th February, so many things change overnight. So once you have it approved and ready to ship, it makes it much easier and faster for everyone. And that's when you will see the success. So you have to be ready even for Gulfood by doing these prior preparations. You don't lose anything if you have not got your, if you have not found your distributor. But you will always be standing out versus another company who has not got their products ready, be it the company from Europe or from Southeast Asia. If their products are not yet approved, you will stand out as the one who's got their products approved already. Right now, these are again some of the numbers, and it essentially tells you that there is a lot of appetite for US product in Saudi, and hence we should actually see how we can export our products to Saudi as well. Now, important point is the last point, which is the 8 largest retail chains account for an estimated 70% of the total food retail revenue. Okay, now here it is 70%. In the UAE, it's about 80 to 90%. Importantly, because Saudi is a large country, in the interiors of the country, they have a large, large presence of bakalas or the grocery stores. So these are the stores, the small grocery stores, and they may not carry all the merchandise, but they would have some part of the modern retail merchandise, as well as they would sell it to the local villagers, the village population, right? So their split is a bit different. It's 70-30 or 60-40, whereas UAE is modern retail is 90% or 85%, and the smaller groceries or convenience store is 15 to 20%. We had told you the names of the 10 top outlets in UAE. Here are the names of the 8 top outlets in or the retail chains in Saudi Arabia. Importantly, in Saudi, being a large country, if we have to ship anything to, let's say, to the province of Jeddah, we have to have a distributor there. If we have to ship anything to the province of Riyadh, we need to have a distributor there, or we need to have one distributor who has 2 entities in each of these cities or provinces. That's something to be. But at the same time, the population is such that even if you have a distributor in one province, it's a good start. Product profile is the same that is required here, because again the profile is the same. Okay, now we saw the food service sector in the UAE, and here this is the food service sector in Saudi. Once again, point to remember is that the food service sector is skewed towards cheaper, extremely compliant food products for the Hajj pilgrims. Okay, so that's different profile from the leisure tourism in the UAE. I'm going to skip this because you can read it again. Nothing new versus UAE. One important difference is that Saudi Arabia has a large food processing sector because the country encourages local manufacturing of the food products. So here is a country that you can look at in terms of exporting food ingredients, right? So that's one of the things that you have to consider. If you have even if you have a ready-to-eat product for the UAE, you could still have some of the ingredients to be sold into Saudi so that they can make their own product. Okay, that way the product remains cheaper, and also your product gets available across the country. I made a sheet here for Saudi as well. What changes here is primarily the VAT on CIF. In UAE, the VAT is 5%. Here it is 15%. I want to highlight one point. At the beginning of the presentation, I said duty is only one time. So we are talking about this import duty. We are not talking about VAT. Every single country you would pay VAT. Okay, so duty is only one time, provided the container is not opened, and we'll again see why it is important. Okay, now this is where we'll see some of the answers. We are now going to talk about the current geopolitical situation, which of course, I think I am not saying it's a current situation, but this is how the situation is in general. Sorry. Yeah. So the most talked about Strait of Hormuz is here. Can we all see it? It's here. So what happens is, unfortunately I don't have it here, but I have it in another slides. When the product comes somewhere here in the US, right, then it goes all across and it comes down and it comes to Strait of Hormuz, and then it reaches Dubai. Okay, so this for you to know. So what the Strait of Hormuz, on one side it has the UAE, and this area is common to UAE and to Oman. On the other side we have Bandar Abbas, which is the Iranian side. Whatever is being discussed, that is political, that has nothing to do with us. The fact of the matter is, Strait of Hormuz has been the international waters accessible to all based on certain conditions. Okay, And right now, that Strait of Hormuz is blocked. Like today's data is that on an average, if there were X number of ships crossing the strait, today there is only one ship that has crossed the strait. Okay, so certainly it's causing blockades. At the beginning, okay, when the issue started, okay, UAE started importing the products, bringing the products up to Fujairah here, okay, and then doing a land transportation from Fujairah to Dubai or to Sharjah. That still continues. Uh, they also started bringing the products to Muscat, and from here again bring it to Dubai or Abu Dhabi and so on. All of this has added to the cost and to the time. Okay, this another way is what we cannot see here is there's another city of Jeddah here down here, and from here also you can transport it to the UAE by road. It takes time and it takes more money. Okay, so this has caused a lot of issues right now. So this is a smaller picture so that you can see it. Okay, we are here in the United Arab Emirates, and further here we are into Saudi Arabia. So this is Strait of Hormuz. It has two-way traffic, the sea lanes, but the lanes only accommodate one line at a time. You can't have multiple parallel ships going in the same direction and so on. Okay, it was all working fine, but currently now it's become like it's an economy battle. It's not anything else, is how we see it, right? And everybody wants to protect their money. Now, sorry, there is a, okay, so now what happens is that Strait of Hormuz is very important, not only for our shipments, but also for transporting the oil, right? And that effectively affects everything else. If we are not able to transport adequate amount of oil, then obviously the price of oil has gone up. And price of oil going up has reflected onto prices of all the goods and commodities going up. And I'm only talking food products. Okay, but everything else also comes by ship. So prices of those products have also gone up. On the other hand, initially we said that we have opportunities, constraints, and opportunities. Now you have already increased prices, right? That's a constraint. But it's already increased. So now maybe it will make it much easier for you to compete with those increased prices. Okay, but at the same time, you should have much more to offer for those increased prices to the consumers in the Middle East, right? So this is a perspective on Strait of Hormuz. So again, how has it affected? Oil prices have gone up, reduced air traffic, because again it involves oil and it's not really economical. Okay, there is a diversion in supply routes that we saw. Now this is where the important fact that I mentioned before, that you could export your products to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and you'll pay the duty once at point of entry in Jeddah, and from there it can come to the UAE. The entire trailer can come to the UAE without being touched for opening or checking the products. Once that happens, that means you have paid the duty once of 5%. Once it arrives in the UAE, nobody is paying the duty again, right? So that's the advantage of the GCC treaty or the agreement that they have. And in these times, all these things have become very important in terms of applying the treaties, right? So diversion in supply route takes time and more money, and also because things are expensive, okay, then and reduced air traffic, there are fewer number of tourists. Plus, some of the countries have travel warning, so some of the countries are not sending their tourists. Also, this is not the season for us to travel into the GCC at all. It's so hot. Besides the heat wave, etc., everywhere else in the world, it's still as hot as it has always been every year. Okay, so all of these things considered, it's a different situation that we have to manage. We are not in the same situation like before. It is a different situation. It brings in different challenges and different opportunities also. As far as safety and security is concerned, UAE is the most secure and safe country. In the first month of the situation, we used to get alerts and we were told how where we should hide, etc. But it was all not really required because it was a safety measure, though. And we were getting updates all the time directly from the media of the government to say what is happening. So all the attacks were targeted at the US airbase, and the US air bases are far into the interiors of the desert, and they were not anywhere close to the resident population or the civilians. As a result of which, in the initial days, we had a few human casualties, maybe 3 to 5, and after that, there has been no casualties at all because what happened was not expected, and during those unexpected times, accidents can occur. That's what happened, but after that, we have absolutely been safe, and really, we all who stay here, we feel extremely grateful for the safety and the security that the country offers. So much so that Emirates even operated special flights for those of us who were stuck in our own home countries due to the cancellation of the other flights. They said if you have the Emirates ID, we are coming there to pick you up. You will be prioritized versus a tourist. All in all, so today, what is the country doing now that safety and security and everything has been established now for the last 4 months or so? Today, the country is not ready to wait for anything else which is decided by the other countries. Sorry, my so what are we doing? We are developing our own ports and a route so that access to those ports so that we can actually import the products directly. So what do I want to actually summarize about this situation? The situation is such that if you want to export from New York or from Florida or from Los Angeles or anywhere, this is a typical route that it takes today, right? It comes up to London, Lisbon in Portugal, Rome. Suez Canal is also there, which again is under. Sometimes it closes, sometimes it doesn't. All in all, but the product will still have to come to Dubai. Currently, it comes via Strait of Hormuz. Now they are looking at alternatives, and it's only UAE who will make new ports available because that's how they prioritize the trade as the source of economy for the country, and also for making sure that the business continues because it's an extremely business focused country. Okay, so and then they have the money and they would use it better for that purpose. So we are actually talking about how to have new 1 or 2 ports, and that in turn can actually receive before without going to a Strait of Hormuz. Okay, we have had the history of bouncing back, and that is what makes us confident and makes us confident to invite you all in participating in the Gulf Food, because we have had 2008, 2011, 2013, we have had trade issues. Then we have had, because of COVID, Expo 2020 had to be pushed to 2021. Okay, then we had, which is of course a global pandemic. So we have had economic issues, we have had wars in the region, like maybe Syria, maybe Iraq, whatever. Okay, we have had all these issues, yet we as a country, we as a region has thrived because we continue to offer security and job opportunities for people. So we always bounce back without going down much further. So we continue to be resilient and reliable as Middle East as a region, and hence we invite you all to come for Gulf Food. Be patient, be persistent, and be strong in making your products felt and available in the region. And that is that I wanted to share with you. Now I'm open to receive any questions from you.
Hi there. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, why don't we bring John in and maybe he can talk a little bit about his experience at Gulf Food, and then we'll open it to questions from everybody then.
Yes.
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'll just do a quick couple-minute presentation. I'll keep it very quick. I know we're out of time right now. Um, can everybody see my screen there?
Yes.
1 second. All right, great. Yep. So we're an export company based here in Atlanta, doing business in the Middle East and elsewhere. We've started in '79. We've been at Gulf Food since it started in well, let me give you a little background. So we have a warehouse here in Atlanta where we do consolidations. We also do Arabic labeling for quite a few customers here as well. We have a whole team that does translations, Arabic labels, consolidations. We sell into the food service channel, which is huge over there. We sell to most of the distributors in the region. We also do a lot of franchise business. So if you see a Chili's over there or a Papa John's or one of maybe 30, 40 franchises in the US, we're probably consolidating and selling to them. We sell to a lot of the retail customers over there, a lot of which she mentioned in her presentation. We have our own brand, Country Sun, which we like to exhibit with at Gulfood through Susta. And we do a lot of proteins too, beef. We have a freezer and chiller here as well, where we do Arabic labeling on those products as well. So that's just a brief on us. My father actually went to the first Gulfood. At that time, it was in Bahrain, and then it moved over to Dubai. And we've been going pretty much every year ever since. There was a COVID year we skipped. I think my first one was 2002. It's a great show for us. You know, buyers kind of expect us to be there. We also make regular visits to the market besides that. And we look at it as an ongoing part of a long-term commitment to the region. So, you know, sometimes we'll get orders straight after the show or get, you know, one customer from the show, but a lot of times it's to build relationships, see the customers over and over, and grow that kind of relationship there. Um, so 4 reasons I would say to go to Gulfood. One is the density. It's gotten bigger and bigger. After Anuga, it's the biggest trade show in the world. It's really drawing in a crowd. I mean, the Middle East crowd is definitely there. The last show, we were seeing customers from Asia, customers even from Caribbean, Latin America. So it's really grown in its breadth of the kind of customers that do show up. Dubai, you know, is a hub. People want to go visit Dubai, so a lot of them use you know, the show as a reason to go as well. A lot of the business is still done face to face. You know, email and everything is great, but that initial first contact or that first meeting really does help us a lot to grow a relationship and have that feeling that there's somebody on the other end of a call. And Susta's great. I don't know if there's somebody on the line who hasn't dealt with Susta. They set up your booth, they help with the samples, your samples show up, you set it up. It's a seamless kind of way to do it. You don't have to worry. So they'll take care of everything for you, which is fantastic. Um, let's see here. With the unrest in the region, our shipments have kept moving. We had about 57 containers, I think, on the water when this all started. That took a while to sort out, but now new routings have started through Jeddah, through Oman, through Khor Fakkan, which is the other port in UAE. And so we are getting product there regularly. Buyers are buying, you know, over 80% of the food gets imported, so they're going to have to eat and they will keep buying. You know, we were there last year and people were there, and it'll keep going. So, and Dubai is built for trading. It's a trading country. Um, so this is just some quick stuff. I think we're almost out of time, but you know, I would definitely have samples there. I definitely have understand shelf life concerns, what your shelf lives are, the Arabic labeling, things like that before you go. I'm sure Susta can help with that. If not, you're free to reach out to me as well. And again, I mean, we treat this as one of many steps in how we go to market. So the trade show is very important for us, but we also have regular calls to the region, show up, visit people in their offices, those type of things. And people like to see you over and over and over again. It builds confidence that you're committed to the region. So I would look at it more as like one of many instead of just a one-off type of event there. So that's it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your presentation, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And
Great,
Sus is great. I
great,
highly recommend doing the show with them. Thank you.
great. Thank you, John. It's always great to hear the perspective of a US company that's actually the one, at the show. Exhibiting. So thank you for that. And Manjusha, your presentation was really thorough, so interesting. These presentations will be available. We'll put them up on the website behind the login. There's a part of our website that's past webinars that you can see when you log into your SUSTA account. And then I think we did have a couple of questions. If you could stay on, Manjusha, for a couple more
Sure.
minutes. One was about the plant protein sector. Do you know anything about that sector and if it's grown in the region?
Well, currently we are on protein, okay, but not exactly plant protein because protein itself is a new sector for us. So protein powders to choosing protein over carbs is a big thing. Plant protein is very small and it's a niche category. Okay, possibly that would entail air shipment, maybe,
Yeah.
in terms of what it is and what format it is in. So that's what I would say.
Okay. And then the other question was, is kosher certification a requirement?
No, it's not
No.
required.
Okay.
It's only halal.
Halal. Okay.
Halal for products which have any component of meat or fish in it, then halal is required. But other than
Okay.
that, it's not required.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much. I know it's late there. We really appreciate it. Great information. And yes, we'll be in touch with everyone later today with that link. And let us know if you have any questions about the show. And hopefully, we'll see you all soon.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
John. I loved your presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
so good.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks.